All right. Well, welcome everyone to our first meeting of Little Colony MPO for the new year. Our first agenda item is the roll call and accessibility statements. Charlie, you want me to read them first or you want to do the roll call first? I can't remember. It's a whole new year. I forget.
It's usually the roll call.
All right, go ahead.
So Steve Wolfel.
Steve Wolfel representing Interim Secretary and CEO Philip Eng here.
Sean Handy.
Sean Handy, Mass DOT District 5 project, Assistant Project Development Engineer, representing Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
Sure. Becky Coletta. I see she's in the waiting room coming over, and I see Nelson coming over. So Mike Lambert.
Kelly and I are here representing Brockton Area Transit.
Great. And then I'd like to introduce Nelson Fernandez. He's the Chief of Staff for new Mayor Moses Rodriguez from the City of Brockton. Nelson.
I'm Nelson, City of Brockton.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
And with that, we do have a quorum of 5 out of the 8.
All right. Again, welcome everyone. I'll first read the accessibility statement in Title VI non-discrimination statement. So this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like this accommodation, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The Notice of Non-Discrimination Rights and Protections to Beneficiaries with regard to the Federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website at https://oldcolonyplanning.org/. You can also contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information. Thank you. So the next agenda item is agenda item 2, which I believe is public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the MPO today? All right, seeing none, we'll move to agenda item 3, which potential approval of the minutes from our last meeting of November 18th of 2025. Can I get a motion second to approve, please?
So moved, Becky Coletta.
Second, Michael Lambert.
All right, any changes or comments on the minutes? All right. Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfel.
Yes.
Sean Handy.
Yes.
Nelson Fernandez.
Yes.
Michael Lambert.
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll now move on to agenda item 4, which is the update from Brockton Area Transit. Michael, take it away.
Thank you. 3 quick things today. First, we continue to work hard collectively at all the RTAs to secure additional funding for operations next year, so we can continue to support all the enhancements we've made recently, but also expand service wherever it's needed. 2, we are still in the sort of wrapping up the soft launch of our Bridgewater microtransit, but if you're down in that area, feel free to check it out. And 3, we just signed a contract to create some pedestrian improvements over here on at our complex that will add a new sidewalk, a new crosswalk, and upgrade to current crosswalks. So keep your eyes out for that.
Anyone have any questions for Michael? All right, thanks, Michael. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item 5, which is update from GATRA. Mary Ellen?
Good morning. We are happy to report that we are continuing to see increased ridership on the Gateway Link, which connects Brockton with Taunton and Fall River. We're averaging over 2,000 people a month on that service, and we have received funding to continue that pilot for another year. So we're very excited that what we thought was a need is actually backed up by ridership numbers and positive feedback from the people who are really excited that they can get now to the Brockton VA hospital, which has been a critical need for us for a while. Other than that, we are continuing to assess our microtransit in the OCPC area and see where we can look to expand service or add in vehicles to reduce wait times. Under our new contract, we're now running on all of the holidays except Christmas and Thanksgiving. So we are adjusting our schedule to make sure that we have adequate coverage for all of those new service days that we will have. And that is the update from GATRA.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Mary Ellen? Thanks, Mary Ellen. All right, we're on to agenda item 6, which is to talk about the performance measures PM1. And I believe Sam from OTP is going to present on this. So Sam, take it away.
I think Sam's having audio issues right now.
And Sam, I just made you a co-host. Do you have the presentation, or would you like me to run it on my end?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, it's in the
Okay.
staff report, Sean.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, if you could please advance the slides, that would be much preferred.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. Thank you. So hi, everybody. My name is Sam Taylor. I'm here from the Office of Transportation Planning. I work alongside Christina in the MPO activities group. And this presentation today is a presentation on safety performance measures, which are required to be adopted each year. So there are certain categories of performance targets that MPOs are required to adopt each year, or 2 or 4. So PM1, which is safety, is what we're going to be discussing today. PM2 covers pavement and bridge condition, and PM3 is like a catch-all category called system performance measures that includes improving the transportation system's efficiency and reducing congestion. As always, although numeric targets have been established following federal guidelines, MassDOT's overarching goal for safety performance is 0 deaths. Next slide, please. So there are 5 required performance measures under federal PM1 safety target regulations. These are roadway fatalities, rate of roadway fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, total roadway serious injuries, roadway serious injury rate per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, and then the total number of combined non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. And these performance targets are expressed not as a 1-year target, but as 5-year rolling average targets. So for all of these, the state put forth targets for 2026, and those are actually a rolling 5-year average of the years 2022 to 2026. Next slide, please. So this slide covers fatalities. The target setting process actually began last summer. As noted in years past, higher rates of speeding and decreased vehicle miles traveled in 2020, 21, and 2022 helped send the Commonwealth safety numbers in the wrong direction. In 2023, the trend reversed a little bit, and there were significant decreases in fatalities and serious injuries. The fatalities ended up increasing again in 2024. So the early data for 2025 shows improvement over 2024. But again, these are all reported as 5-year averages. So in addition to the target that you see here for 2022 to 2026, there's also a 2024 to 2028 projection to see what the future might look like if targets and trends continue here. You may recall that we did this last year as well. When setting the 2025 target, we provided a 2027 projection. So here we are providing a 2028 projection. As I alluded to earlier, these targets were developed in the middle of 2025. So MassDOT had to estimate what a full year of 2025 data might look like. To do so, MassDOT compared data from 2015 to 2024 to the year-to-date numbers for fatalities and serious injuries. So we found that on average, 46% of fatalities occurred between January 1st and July 1st of each year when we had to make these calculations. So to estimate 2024 2025 fatalities. MassDOT divided the year-to-date number by 46%, and then assumed a 3% annual reduction in fatalities to obtain the estimate for the year. So this brings, after we make those calculations, this brings the 2022 to 2026 rolling average target to 357. And if this 3% annual decrease continues, our projections show that the 2028 5-year average, so that is for the years 24 through 28, that the 5-year average would decrease to 323. This chart also covers fatality rate, so that represents the 5-year average fatalities divided by the 5-year average vehicle miles traveled. So VMT in 2025 are estimated to be around 2019 pre-pandemic levels, and with 2021 now being outside of the 5-year window of 2022 to 2026, we have a 5-year rolling fatality rate that is decreasing, which is good. So consequently, the 5-year average and performance target being put forward here is projected to be 0.56 fatalities per 100 million VMT. And if this trend continues, the rate will be 0.5 in 2028. Next slide, please. So MassDOT followed the same methodology as it did with fatalities to estimate serious injuries for 2025 in the rolling averages. So we also found that roughly 46% of annual serious injuries occur between January 1st and July 1st of each year. So using those baselines, that brings the 2022 to 2025 5-year average target to be 2,562. And if we continue to follow a 3% reduction in serious injuries, this 5-year average in 2028 would be 2,184 serious injuries per year. And then to cover the injury rate, we followed the same methods as the fatality rate. So the 5-year average serious injuries rate, the target for this is 4.03 serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. And if this trend continues, the 5-year rate in 2028 would be 3.38. Next slide, please. So this last performance measure is a little bit different in that non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries are combined and added up together. So these numbers have fluctuated in recent years. However, 2025 year-to-date data shows that these numbers may have peaked in 2023, and the state is now heading in the right direction. So following the previous methodology, MassDOT found that about 45% of annual non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries occur in the first half of the year. So the 2025 year-to-date number was divided by 45%, and then a 5% annual reduction was assumed to estimate the 2025 annual total. So I will note that a 5% annual reduction here is assumed because of the state's increased work on protecting vulnerable road users. So this brings the 2026 5-year rolling average target to 512. And if this decrease continues, the average will be 416 for the years covering 2024 to 2028. Next slide, please. So as stated before, the MPO is required to set targets on this each year, and has a choice between endorsing MassDOT's state targets or establishing their own by the end of February 2026. And as always, although numeric targets have been established following federal guidelines, MassDOT's overarching goal is 0 deaths. And yeah, I believe that concludes the Commonwealth side of the presentation, Mr. Chair, and I believe we have some regional performance content following this.
Charles, is someone else going to present on your side?
That was the original plan, but Bill is out today, so we will forego the regional comparison. But I would say just from our staff level analysis, it mirrors the overall statewide trend. It's trending in the right direction. However, safe to say that we haven't achieved the 0 benchmark on fatalities or the serious injuries, but it's trending in the right direction, and we're hopeful with infrastructure improvements and continued educational efforts that trend towards zero will continue.
So Charlie, is the recommendation from staff to endorse the state ones?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions for Sam or Charlie?
I'd like to make a
Does anyone-
motion.
Oh, go ahead, Becky. I was about to call for a motion. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to endorse Mass DOT's state targets.
Is there a second?
Second, Michael Lambert.
All right. Last call. Any questions for Sam or Charlie? All right, Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
Nelson Fernandez,
Yes.
Michael Lambert,
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will move on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item 7, which is number of tip items. Charlie, are you going to handle these since Bill's out?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
So yes, thank you, Chair. So we have a tip amendment number 2 before the MPO today for consideration. As you may recall from November, we had a sort of an in-depth conversation about a proposed amendment at that time, but we all needed some more time to review and reflect and determine the specific numbers and the magnitude of the amendment. So what's before us today in a staff report and for the MPO's consideration for a review and release to a public comment period is tip amendment number 2. And next slide, please. So what tip amendment number 2 does, it's in regard to federal fiscal year 2026 for the Brockton Area Transit project of rehabilitating and renovating the maintenance facility. This is a actual funding reduction in the RTA cap value by about $2.15 million. The original overall project cost was originally $4.31 million. The new total project cost is $2.85 million. So this exceeds the threshold for an adjustment, and what staff is recommending is further conversation at the MPO level, and if the MPO pleases to then release and conduct a public review and comment period for this, and then at your next meeting, hear public comments and consider endorsement.
So Michael, I remember last time in November that we had a lot of discussion with this and you guys needed to talk to Rail and Transit. Are you guys comfortable with this now, or?
Yeah, we're comfortable with this. That was the last time it just short-circuited us, so we didn't get us to weigh in. This time we are comfortable with this change. There's just less RTA cap available, or less bond cap available for RTAs this year.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions for Charlie or Michael? All right. Someone want to make a motion, a second to release for public comment, and then we'll take it up in February.
I'll make a motion to approve the adjustment.
I'll second it.
All right. Last call. Any questions? All right, Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Yes. Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
Nelson Fernandez,
Yes.
Michael Lambert,
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. So we will be taking up Amendment 2 in February. Correct, Charlie? Just so.
Yes, that's
The
correct.
tip season has now arrived officially. So, all right. The next agenda item is agenda item 8, which is an update on tip development for 2027 to 2031. Charlie, you going to handle this?
Yes.
All right, take it away.
Thank you, Chair. So as you mentioned, tip season is here, and though the tip is technically developed over a 12-month cycle, the real effort is from December through the month of May, and what we have for you, some highlights of our development schedule. So one of the things staff is working on right now is working with the communities to obtain project updates on their specific projects, status of design, any pitfalls that might have come up in the environmental permitting process, or preferred alternatives for the project. So on your screen, you can see a schedule. One of the highlights of TIP development cycle, and it's certainly very helpful, is the collaborative effort of TIP readiness days, and it's scheduled for February 3rd. That's where the MPOs and MassDOT meet and collaborate and hear updates on project designs from MassDOT and the different divisions, such as District 5, headquarters, right away, et cetera. So that's certainly very helpful, and that helps us determine elements of project readiness when the MPO is looking at levels of project readiness. Then at your in March at the JTC meeting, we're going to present some potential programming scenarios for their consideration and initial review. And their response will certainly feed into the March 17th meeting of the Old Colony MPO, where the MPO will see and determine a preferred set of projects for the development of the 27 to 31 TIP. Next slide. And then in April, the MPO will review and release the draft TIP to a public review and comment period. And then in May, the MPO will reconvene, hear public comments, potentially develop a revised TIP based on the public comments, and then likely endorse the 27 to 31 TIP in May. And what's important here is this schedule, because the endorsement in May then allows MassDOT to subsequently develop and complete the programming of projects for the CIP, which has to go live July 1. So the regional TIPs across the Commonwealth will be one of the informative elements to the CIP development process. And then one of the things, as we're developing the TIP, we have transportation evaluation criteria. It's based on a 100-point system, including system preservation at 30 points, safety at 30 points, mobility at 10 points, economic impact at 10 points, environmental and health impact at 10 points, and then community support and consistency with policies and plans, 10 points. So what Bill does offline is review and rank these projects and apply this evaluation criteria. I just note that one of the things that's going to be changing over the next couple of years is a in-depth review of this evaluation criteria and the project prioritization process. As you know, OCPC was one of the awardees of that programming process pilot program grant, discretionary grant from Federal Highway. So we'll be taking a deep dive into this evaluation criteria, developing a prioritization tool that's going to be posted on our website, and have a public-facing dashboard where public and stakeholders can review it and provide input into project rankings, criteria, and seeing where the projects are in the design process. So that'll be a year-and-a-half effort concluding in March of 2028. And that's what we have for an update for the MPO. Certainly here to answer any questions that anybody on the call might have.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Charlie? All right, Charlie. I think we're good. So we'll now move to our next agenda item, which I believe is agenda item 9, which is an update on the National Highway Freight Network, critical rural and urban freight corridors. I think Sean's doing this. Am I correct?
Yes, you are, Mr. Chair.
All right, take it away, Sean.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Sean Bailey, Senior Transportation Planner here with the Old Colony Planning Council. Here talking about a project that we are doing in coordination with MassDOT on the National Highway Freight Network, critical rural and urban freight corridors. So currently, the current active Massachusetts freight plan was completed in 2023 that involves 6 different categories: vision and goals, stakeholder outreach, contacting key industries and supply chains, freight assets, demands and needs, futures for freight in Massachusetts, and then recommendations and strategies. The next plan is expected to be completed by August 2027. That's the estimated timeline of federal highway approval of their upcoming plan. So the timeline, they're expected to commence in May of this year, with the first step being stakeholder interviews as well as data collection and analysis from May to September. And then there will be 4 public meetings held between September 26 and April of 2027. And then they will compile all of the data analysis and information from interviews and develop their recommendations between April and May. And then they will submit the final draft to Federal Highway by the end of May, and then anticipated approval of the plan in August of 2027. And so the National Highway Freight Network, the funds may be used for projects that contribute to the efficient movement of freight on the National Highway Freight Network. There are 4 subsystems of this network, 2 of which apply to this plan, which are the critical rural freight corridors and the critical urban freight corridors. And the rural freight corridors are public roads not in an urbanized area, but provide access and connection to the highway freight system and the interstate with other important ports, public transportation facilities, or other intermodal freight facilities. There were little over 133 miles designated in the previous plan in 2023, and MassDOT was informed that they could designate up to 300 miles, which meant that they have little over 166 miles available to designate with their upcoming plan for 2027. And then critical urban freight corridors are in the urbanized areas that provide access and connection to the highway freight system. And Massachusetts is allowed to designate up to 150 miles. A little under 75 were designated in the 2023 plan, and a little over 75 are available for their upcoming plan. And so the timeline for the MPO designation process, between August and November, MassDOT worked with RPAs so that RPAs could determine the candidate freight corridors for both rural and urban and send to MassDOT for review and approval. And then between December and January, RPAs proposed new or updated corridors at MPO meetings and release for public review and comment period, which is what we're doing today. Then January to February, MPO votes on designated CRFCs and CUFCs. That will be at next month's meeting. And then in March, MassDOT certifies and submits the MPO designated corridors to Federal Highway. And then by August, the rural and urban freight corridors are added to the 2027 freight plan, and projects along the designated corridors become eligible for National Highway Freight Program funds. And so for designating the freight corridors, MassDOT requested OCPC to identify critical corridors for freight movement throughout our region. Staff selected corridors based on land use data as well as existing data collected as part of our own freight planning efforts and traffic counting programs. MassDOT allotted 1.44 miles of roadway to be designated as rural freight corridors and 9.64 miles of roadway to designate as urban freight corridors. And to show you what the National Highway Freight Network visualization tool looks like, can you all see this?
Yes.
So this was a tool that was sent to us by MassDOT at the very beginning of this process. And as we zoom in on our region, you can see that we have a stretch of roadway down in Plimpton, just north of the Carver line, just north of Route 44. Yellow is urban, by the way, and then the red here is rural. And so this is Spring Street in Plimpton, just north of the Carver town line. And then one of the rural corridors that was identified is in Halifax between Lake Street and this is also in Plimpton between Lake Street and the Halifax town line. And then scrolling over to the northwest part of our region, there's Center Street in Brockton between Main Street and Quincy Street, as well as Montello between Center Street and Plain Street. And then Route 24 in the towns of Stoughton and Avon. And it does extend north to the 93 interchange, but that is outside of our region. And going back to the presentation. And so these are the proposed corridors that Old Colony has proposed through MassDOT. The existing county road in Halifax between the Halifax town line and Lake Street was 1.09 miles. We decided to continue that into the town of Halifax to the intersection at Redwood Drive, which was 0.35 miles, which met our target exactly down to the 100th of a mile. And then for the urban freight corridors, as noted on the map, the Route 24 in the towns of Avon and Stoughton, we decided to keep those as we felt they were important. And then Montello Street, we decided to extend that since we had some mileage to work with. Instead of ending its northern terminus at Center Street, we decided to extend it up to Howard Street in North Brockton, the intersection of Route 37. And then the additional Brockton downtown corridor, Center Street, we decided to extend it past the intersection of Quincy Street all the way to the Abington town line. And then the initial mentioned Spring Street and Plimpton between the intersection at Freedom Trail to the Carver town line. You can see that it is just slightly over our target. It's 0.12 miles, but we did get approval from MassDOT to have that additional mileage. And those are the corridors that we are looking to propose as part of this plan. We are looking for a endorsement by the MPO to release this to a public review and comment period, and then revisit this next month for approval.
All right, thanks, Sean. Any questions for Sean? All right, seeing no questions, does someone want to make a motion and a second to release the recommendation that Sean just detailed here for public review?
So moved, Becky Coletta.
Second,
Second,
Michael.
is there a second? All right,
Second,
thanks,
Michael.
Michael. Last call. Any questions for Sean? All right, seeing none. Charlie, want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
Nelson Fernandez,
Yes.
Michael Lambert,
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
We'll
you.
now move on to the next agenda item, which is, I believe, an item, it's agenda item 10, update on the MOU. Charlie, I'm guessing this is you?
Yes. Thank you, Chair. So staff is in the process of reviewing and recommending updates to the MPO's existing 3C memorandum of understanding. So 3C stands for continuing, cooperative, and comprehensive. As we talked about at the last meeting in November, provides the overall operational framework of the MOU. So based on our review, we've come up with no recommended structural changes to the MPO and how it operates in terms of, number of signatories, number of meetings, etc. But we have identified some verbiage updates that we feel that would bring the 2018 MOU into a nice 2026 version. And we have some review and comment already from Derek Schuster back in the fall, some provided language. So this is included in this version of the MOU. So what our process is sharing what those potential updates are. We're going to share this with the chief elected officials of the region over the next couple of weeks. We do have this on our board of directors agenda for later this month. And then at perhaps your next meeting, MPO review of any potential additional revisions, and then potential endorsement of said MOU. So what we have in the staff report for you today is some highlighted text in yellow, and I will just spotlight the updates that we have. So next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So here highlighted yellow, one of the additions provided by Derek Schuster was just to add in the current federal transportation law. So as you all know, it's the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, IIJA, also known as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, BIL. So that would be one of the additions. Next slide. Next. So here under item number 4, the existing MOU specified that the MPO would meet in the region. So that alludes to the fact that it's an in-person meeting, somewhere physically, but by virtue of the pandemic and the remote meeting law offered by the Commonwealth, which was recently extended to 2027, we suggest adding in remotely or in hybrid format for additional information and options for the MPO to meet. The next update is on the same page. Derek Schuster provided some clarification language because it just originally had transit dollars, and that alluded to not planning related items. So highlighted in text, it's just a cleaned up version of that verbiage. So, very straightforward. And next slide. So one of the things here highlighted during BAT's recent triennial review, the reviewers were looking for specific language in the 3C MOU that BAT will provide financial information regarding operations and capital projects in order to form development of the TIP. So the federal reviewers and their consultant were looking for that specific language in the MOU, and admittedly, we didn't specifically have it written out. So this was some of the recommended language from that review. So we're recommending adding this in. And then I believe there's one more item, and that on the next page right there. So we just updated date here from March 2011 to August 2018. So, minor changes, but important nonetheless. And upon successful endorsement of this MOU, hopefully next month, we'll bring this up to date and up to speed.
So Charlie, you're just looking for a vote to send out for public review, and then we'll finalize next month, correct?
Yeah, we're having this just as an informational item for you today.
Okay.
And then, of course, between now and next month, any additional comments from MPO members, signatories, MassDOT, Federal Highway, FTA, BAT, at all, we'll certainly take that under consideration. But as you mentioned earlier, we're not recommending any substantial structural changes to the MPO signatory makeup at this time. So the rest of it's more administrative updates.
So I guess we'll take this up next month, but if you have any questions, reach out to Charlie in the meantime, if there's any questions or additional ideas you have, correct? Charlie, so I think that's
yes,
good.
Please. Yep.
Anyone have any questions now, though? All right, I think we're good for now, Charlie.
Okay.
All right, let's move to the next agenda item, which is 11, which is administrative matters, other business, and the date and time of our next meeting. Charlie, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. So we have a couple of administrative items for the MPO and the attendees of our meeting today. The first is on February 11th, MassDOT is having a public information listening session for the Powder Point Avenue Bridge over Duxbury Bay. It's going to be at the Duxbury High School cafeteria from 6 to 8 p.m. And importantly, this will be the third public information meeting on this project. So MassDOT certainly has done yeoman's work reaching out to the community and being in the community, hearing from the public on this important replacement project. So next slide. Next slide. And just an update from our friends at the Federal Funds and Infrastructure Office. Their monthly meeting will be on January 27th at 2 p.m. And there's a registration link in your staff report. Next slide. And as this is TIP development season, Unified Planning Work Program development season, and we have a freight quarters out for public review and the TIP amendment out for public review. We're asking the signatories to save the dates of the following meetings: February 17th, March 17th, April 21st, and May 19th. And last but not least, June 16th for meetings of the MPO, so the MPO can review and complete its work on the important MPO products.
All right.
And
Anyone have any questions for Charlie? All right, Charlie, I think we're good. So now we'll move to agenda item 12, which I believe is adjournment. So can I get a motion and a second to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second. Nelson.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 All right, thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone. We obviously have a bunch of voting stuff next month, so we'll look to see you in February. Again, Happy New Year, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.
okay, thank you. Happy
See you
New
soon.
Year.
Thank you.
Bye.